Okay, so welcome to Bayern Uefa Champions League semi-final preview between Bayern Munich and Olympic Lyonnais. I'm sure it's a semi-final clash no one saw coming at the beginning of the Uefa Champions League season. But as we know, Uefa Champions League shows surprises, and of course, we have a surprise package in Lyon, and we are against arguably the best energy competition in Bayern Munich. I've got Angel and Charles with me, representing what should hopefully be a fascinating and an exciting match. I'm starting with you, Angel. Having watched Lyon so far, watched them knock out Juventus, the tournament favorite, watch them knock out the bookies favorite after the round of 16 in Manchester City. What hope or what chance do they have against arguably another best side, arguably the best side next competition?
I think so far Lyon has been the surprise of the tournament because they're more like the Ajax of last season. No one saw them coming, and out of the blues they sprang up and they're looking to make their first return to make their first. This is the first time that they're reaching the semi-finals of the Uefa Champions League in a decade. So it's really a surprising one. I think the first surprise came with Juventus, but we could overlook it because that was a very slim victory. It looked like it could go either ways. I mean, everyone gave Juventus. You could say they were the favorites to win that one, but surprisingly, Rudy Garcia's men surprised everyone and clinched that victory. You could say it could have gone either ways. It was a fluke, or it was just a mere coincidence. But you can't say that it's a mere coincidence in the case of Manchester City, because that was the City side that everyone was looking forward to say, oh, these are kind of final favorites, people that we hope to see battling it out with Bayern Munich so far in the semi-finals, or maybe even in the final. But, beating Pep Guardiola and his tactical display, his crop of players, and then making it to this stage, I don't think is a fluke in any way. I think Rudy Garcia has done a fine job with his men. In fact, in that encounter against Manchester City, the thing is, I think Rudy Garcia kind of in the beginning of the second half, he got a few things wrong when they started playing defensive style of football, which is not something that they are very, very, very much used to. They're more of an attacking side. Let's forget the fact that they finished 7th in the Ligue 1, but they are more of an attacking side. And then having to make all those Memphis Depay and his crop of players go back to defend, that was a wrong move on his side. But with Kevin De Bruyne's equalizer, we saw them come out, and Moussa Dembele being able to clinch those 2 goals was enough for them to seal the victory. I think it's been very impressive. We'll wait to see how they're going to fare against a Bayern Munich side that that demolished Barca 8-2. We're talking about a Bayern Munich side that in every part of the field, they have players who can do you damage. From the back, you have Alaba, you also have Joshua.
What chances
you have Serge Gnabry, who of course so far.
What chance did they stand against Bayern Munich? Did they stand any chance? Are you giving them any hope, or it's just?
Sorry, I didn't.
Did they stand any chance against Bayern Munich, or it's going to be a dead rubber affair? It's going to be
it's a tall order, like I said. It's tricky to say, like, with the way Lyon has fared, you would say that they will fancy their chances. I mean, they will fancy the chances against a Bayern Munich side. This is a Bayern Munich side, like I said, that they are firing on all cylinders. In non-European League games, they have actually scored 39 goals. You have a Robert Lewandowski who can do damage. You have Thomas Müller. You have Philippe Coutinho who can come from the bench and also do damage. You have Serge Gnabry. So the team is filled from every angle. You have people who can score. In the game against Barca, we saw that the goals came from that. So you would say that Lyon will fancy their chance at the moment. I mean, it's Hansi Flick and his men. I don't know what they have done with that team, but I don't think they made so much alteration. Thiago Alcantara is on a different level altogether. And then Davis, not to forget Davis. I mean, that guy has been said to be rated about 60 million pounds at the moment. So it will be difficult to say, but I think at the end of the day, Bayern Munich will take it home.
Okay, you Bayern Munich. So now, Charles, coming to you. Now, looking at this Lyon side, they haven't particularly impressed in the league. They changed managers during the course of the season. Sevilla was shown the door before before Rudy Garcia took over, finished 7th in the league. But they look, we're talking about two teams with contrasting styles of play. They play more of the counter-attacking, they adopt the counter-attacking approach. While Bayern Munich, they press so high that they could be, we saw a few times against Barcelona, they could actually be caught on the break or they could be exposed to high balls played over the defense. Is that something you feel Rudy Garcia will be looking at and be instructing his men to deploy against what should be sure favorites in that game?
Yes, if you remember the Barca game, I think Bayern were defending so highly up the pitch that the Barcelona had fast and counter-attacking players, they would have been able to exploit it. I remember even when the game was at 1-1, Barcelona had about 2 chances to score that they didn't take, and that showed that Bayern too can be vulnerable from the counter-attack. The counter-attacking style that worked for Lyon very well against Manchester City. The 3 goals they scored against City were from breakout play, City losing the ball, and Lyon just going forward and getting. So I believe that is an area that I would try to exploit, especially bearing in mind that the players are young and very fast. I think the 3-man midfield in the 3-5-2 setup, I think the 3 of them are 22 years old. Then the pace and it can be up front are also very young. They can move very fast. So I believe that is a part of the game. They should just try to soak up the pressure and then hit Bayern on the counter attack. I believe that is the key for their game on Wednesday. They should try as much as possible to exploit Bayern's high defensive line. And if they are able to do that successfully, they will have a chance in the game.
I'm looking at what you said now. It looks like it will be highly important that Bayern Munich scores the first goal in this game to force Lyon to come out, from their shells, because I suspect that Bayern Munich would probably have preferred playing City in this kind of game because City would want to also come out and express themselves. Lyon will be waiting for mistakes and opportunities to counter attack. How important is it for Bayern Munich to get the first goal in this game, Charles?
Yes. I think it's a game of 90 minutes. But if Bayern gets the first game, it gives them the impetus to keep attacking. And if Lyon gets the first goal, it will not really change much. We have seen the way this Bayern side plays. It doesn't matter if they score 1 or they score 2, they keep attacking. So I believe getting an early goal for them won't fire them forward to keep putting the pressure on Lyon. And even if Lyon scores first, I still think Bayern will come up top because of the mentality these guys have. They remind us of the 2013 team that they don't pass the ball backwards, they just keep going forward and attacking. So I don't really think scoring first will change, will do more to the game. I don't believe Bayern will be ready to keep attacking for the entire 90 minutes. And if it goes into extra time, they will just keep attacking for the entirety of the game. But what will now happen is whether the back 3 of Lyon, the 3 centre-backs that play the 3-5-2 setup, will be able to cope with the pressure of this Bayern attacking side. You see against City, to an extent, they started opening up spaces. And if not for the chances City missed, maybe the game would have gone elsewhere. So I don't think they might not be able to really cope with the high pressing of Bayern Munich. It doesn't matter who scores first. The game will really be an exciting one. A defensive side against a very attacking side.
Okay, so Angel, let's look at Bayern Munich now. They've been the most, on paper, the most impressive team in this tournament. Scored loads of goals, demolished Barcelona in the last round, 8 goals to 2. I don't think you yourself saw that coming, or did you see that coming?
No, I didn't. No one would have seen that coming. I beg your pardon. After Barca had just beaten Napoli.
Yeah. So now, coming from that, on the back of that performance now, and now be playing another team, a team this time around that would be a bit more defensive. What do you? I'm sure you fancy Bayern's chances, but do you think it's important they get that first goal? Charles has said it doesn't matter. Bayern's relentless pressure will eventually make Lyon with cave in. But do you think it's important Bayern gets that first goal against probably the first defensive team they will playing in this competition?
Yes, I think it is very important, in my opinion. I understand Charles' point of view, but I also think that it's very important. I mean, this is a one-legged game that we're talking about, and this is the semi-final, last four. So we know that no matter the quality of these players, there's still the pressure that comes with all of this. So when you get that first goal, it kind of helps to, calm things down and let you know that you're in control. You have further confidence to, begin to press your team. And I feel that Lyon, we saw what they did against Manchester City. If they get the early goal, they retreat and they defend very well. They have a very compact defense. So that is going to, and we don't know if the Bayern team, with the way that they play high pressing football, we don't know if they have that resilience to keep doing what we saw Manchester City do, which is keep pressing and not getting frustrated. Because it's one thing for you to keep pressing, and at some point you get frustrated, and then you begin to make silly challenges, or you could even see something like 2 yellow cards or a red card. You take out your frustration on the people who are defending so well. So I also think that it's also important, as much as we could say that on paper Bayern looks like the best team to win, the favorites for this one, and as much as you could say that they have very attacking minded players who can press you so much, we're talking about a Lyon side that when they get the goals, they sit back. If they get an early goal, they will sit back. And when they sit back, they will hit Bayern on a counter-attack, knowing that Bayern players, even their fullbacks, push forward at all times. They play like massive attack, massive defense. So they will leave those, that high line for Lyon to be able to capitalize on, like we saw in the case of Moussa Dembele with the 2 goals. And we even saw in the case of Kone, when he scored the first goal as well against Manchester City. So we could see all that play, and it could be really tricky. Like I said, that early goal is also important. As much as we could say it doesn't really make a difference, it could also make that little difference in this last four.
We talked a lot about Lyon's defensive strength. Now, let's not forget that they've got options up front. They have players with clear. Memphis Depay has been in inspirational form this season. Moussa Dembele would have been frustrated not to have started against City, but we saw what he did. It was sort of a master stroke from Rudy Garcia, come off the bench and score 2 goals. They eventually nailed Manchester City's coffin, if I may put it that way. And of course, they've got Maxwell Cornet, you mentioned him, and Osam Awa, a brilliant playmaker who is spotted by most of the top clubs in Europe. Now, with the Bayern Munich thing that we've mentioned, they play so high. If Barca had probably a faster front line, Barca themselves would probably have had more opportunities to score. And it looked like every time Barca got at Bayern's defense, they created opportunities. So
yes.
we will not be adopting a much more conservative approach and having that pace up front. Don't you think it's something Bayern has to be wary of, Charles? Hello, Charles. It looks like we lost Charles there. Angel, do you think it's something Bayern Munich rather will have to be wary of, the pace of Lyon up front?
Hello?
Okay.
Hello? Yes, hello.
Yes.
So, Charles. Okay. So now, Charles, we talked about Lyon's strength at the back, but they've got special players up front. They've got pace up front, deadly on the break. Moussa Dembele didn't even get to start in the last game against Manchester City, but saw his impact coming off the bench. And they've got pace. I mentioned if Barca just adds a bit more pace up front, they probably have created more chances for themselves. Do you think it's something Bayern has to be wary of, especially with the way they press so high, up the pitch?
I think Bayern will need to be very careful on Wednesday because they're talking about a side that's very fast, and they have young players who want to play in the Champions League final. So it will not be like the Barca game. You have seen the Barca team that they are getting old and they didn't really save on the side. Like you made the valid point that anytime Barca looked like going forward, they were able to find spaces in the Bayern backline, and they were able to move as fast as possible, but they were not able to utilize the 2 chances they created maybe due to lack of pace up front. So I think for Lyon, it will be a different ball game altogether because Lyon has pace, and I think they have players that will be able to put the ball in the back of the net, and that has been the approach for the entire season. We saw it very well against Manchester City with 3 of their goals coming from fast breaks and counter attack. So Bayern will need to, I think, their style a bit in the sense that the center backs will have to stay deeper because taking a high line again against Lyon might be very dangerous for them in the sense that Lyon will be comfortable with soaking up the pressure and hitting on the counter attack, knowing full well that they have fast players who will be able to exploit the situation. So that will be very crucial for Bayern Munich if they can try as much as possible to ensure that they are not exposed as a result of playing the high line. So I look forward to seeing how they will be able to cope with Lyon's fast-paced attack game that whenever they go up front, they try as much as possible to break as fast as possible to create chances for themselves as compared to Bayern's high line. So we'll see how best Flick would deal with such a situation, either by instructing the players to sit deeper or telling them to continue with the approach they had against Barca.
So now let's quickly look at Bayern Munich, Angel. They've been, for me, they've been the most impressive team in this competition. Of course, being the most impressive doesn't mean you win the title at the end of the day. But to date, they've been the most impressive team.
Yeah.
And unlike most teams Lyon have faced, I don't think they faced a team that relentlessly come at you. With no break. They are pressing you right from your goal line. How do you think they've got the best forward in center forward in modern football? Do you think Lyon's defense will find Bayern Munich's firepower a bit too hot to handle?
Well, they'll definitely find it very, very hard. So saying hard will be an understatement. I mean, we saw what they did to Barcelona. Even with Piqué's experience, we saw how they make Lenglet look as ridiculous as possible. And this is a top-class defender who has been at the top of his game in Barcelona. So against Bayern Munich, they are going to face a much more tougher opposition. I can tell you that Lyon is going to face a far tougher opposition than they've ever met so far in the competition. And we wait to see how they are going to fare against this side. I mean, we saw them against Manchester City, but the Manchester City that we saw, it's more like a shadow of themselves. We did not see the Manchester City that we are used to. Or maybe even this season, throughout the season, we didn't see the Manchester City that we have always known. So they had that kind of relaxation. They were pressing, so to say, but there were times where Manchester City was a shadow of themselves. We saw them come out in the first half. They struggled. In the second, towards the end of the first half, they tried to get that equalizer, by all means pressing so high that we saw even the strikers of Lyon sit back to defend. And then the pressure increased in the second half. But immediately there was that, Kevin De Bruyne got that goal, that Lyon came out and began to exploit Manchester City's high line. We saw the damage that it did. So, but Manchester City is not the same thing. The truth is, at the moment, because a team is as good as his last game, at the moment, we cannot say that they are on par. Exactly. On paper, they are, of course. But in terms of quality at the moment, Bayern has a better team. A team that can press you in all angles. So I think that Rudy Garcia has a lot of work cut out for him to make sure that his team is as organized as possible. And I personally, I feel that Lyon should not change their style. I think that they should still maintain their style, because changing your style at this time of the competition could hurt you. So why don't you? Yeah, you could just make some little tactical changes here and there. So maybe some tweaks here and there, but don't change the entire. Let it not be an overhaul to suit a particular team. Just let the team be organized enough to defend against Bayern. Basically, massive attack, massive defense, and I think that the game at the end of the day, we saw the Lyon team, when it comes to the midfield, we saw that they did very well in controlling the midfield against the Kevin De Bruyne, against the Manchester City team, who as Fernandinho was getting the yellow cards, commit fouls here and there. So if they can just do that a little bit to Bayern Munich, maybe they could keep them at bay. If they could withhold them from the midfield, they could keep them at bay. But it's going to be a very tricky one, like I said, Chike.
So what's your scoreline prediction, Angel?
I would say 3-1.
3-1 to Lyon.
In favor, no, in favor of Bayern Munich.
In favor of Bayern Munich. So, Charles, what's your scoreline prediction? I'm sure we've looked at both sides. I probably say Bayern Munich attack. They will have to be wary of Lyon's counter-attacking threat. But at the same time, they've never faced this sort of attack before. But what's going to be your scoreline prediction?
I'll go with one just. I think a 3-1 is better to be fair. I think I'm not sure Bayern will have as many goals as they have against Barcelona. And I'm not sure Lyon will also give them that much space to exploit the team and run them ragged. So I'll go for a 3-1 scoreline.
3-1 victory team for Bayern Munich. So both of you fans say the Germans side making the final of the UEFA Champions League. Do you think whoever wins this time will win the Champions League? Angel.
Well, I know that whoever won the tie with in the case of Bayern and Barcelona goes on to win the tournament. So we are going to take antecedent. The precedents would say because Bayern beat Barcelona, they could go ahead to win this one. Because in the past, we've seen that whoever wins the tie between Bayern and Barcelona goes on to win the competition. So maybe history might just repeat itself once again.
Okay. Well, Charles, you got anything different opinion? Do you think it's not all that certain?
If Leipzig gets to the final, I think it will be an open game because they understand each other. They're coming from the same league and they have played each other twice or more than twice this season already. So I think it will still be an open game with Bayern as favorite, obviously, but nothing is done and dusted. Let's not forget the last time Lyon and Bayern met. Bayern made it to the final but lost the final in 2010. So maybe the same thing might play out this year, and Leipzig or PSG might just come out victorious. That is football for you. You can see.
Just are you kidding me?
There's a possibility.
Well, and Chike, I was going to comment about, when Charles talked about Leipzig and Bayern Munich meeting and knowing themselves if they meet in the final. Let's not forget that this team's domestic football is different from European football. I mean, we've seen that with Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. When it comes to the league games, we see how Atletico gives Real a run for their money. But when it comes to the UCL, it's a different case altogether. For Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich too, in the past, we saw that it could, at the end of the day, European football, the quality is a little different from what we see in the domestic competitions.
Well, from your scenario, Angel, the same thing applies to Atletico and Barcelona. The two times they have met in the Champions League, Atletico has knocked Barcelona out. Meanwhile, Barcelona has dominance in the league. So, like I said, it will go either way, and Leipzig will look at this opportunity as their only chance of ever winning the Uefa Champions League. They might just put their life on the line, like the Greece team of 2004 that defeated Portugal. So it's a matter of playing for your life and say, this is my only opportunity. I will die on this pitch. Either I take the trophy home or nothing else.
Or we could just see a case of Tottenham last season against Liverpool in the final. I really don't want to see a repeat of that.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been great having this with you. Thank you so much. Also,
thank you, Chike, for having us.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you, Angel. Thank you, Charles. It's been such a long time seeing your faces. Great to see you guys again. If you watch and you want to join in or you want to drop in a comment, do drop a comment in the comment section. Click on that like button and of course don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys. Hopefully when we see next we'll be previewing the final and who knows, Bayern Munich will be in the final.